everybody, and welcome. My name is Katie Hazard. I am your host today, and I am the Associate Director of Art Management at Burning Man Project, which means I'm the head of the Burning Man Art Department, which is a super awesome job. And I'm so thrilled to be here today to welcome you to ArtSpeaks. If you're new to the series, this is Burning Man Project's artist storytelling series, and we launched it last year, and we've had a lot of fun with it so far. It's been a really great opportunity to showcase lots of exceptional artists all around the world. Today's episode is an extra special edition where we're going to introduce you to this year's virtual temple and the artists who designed and created it. So as folks are signing in, if you can pop a hello in the chat and share where you're calling in from. I always love to see all the diverse places that we're coming together from. I see a New Orleans and a welcome back. Thank you. Cool. Yeah. Oh, France. Cool. Anyway, oh, Arizona, San Jose. Oh, hi, Mom and Dad outside Chicago and Reno and Memphis. Oh, Alberta, Calgary, Connecticut. Oh, how fun. Cherub, who's the head of the Temple Guardians in London. Oh, that's great. Yeah, it's really fun. Like the way that we come together in Black Rock City from all over the world in this forum, we can also come together from all over. So that's a lot of fun. I'm sure we all know Zoom really well by now, but just a couple tips. Please feel free to use the chat as much as you like throughout the whole program. It's a really fun way to stay engaged and share your thoughts or support the artists that we're featuring today. If you have any questions for the artists, we're going to do a Q&A at the end of this session. So there's a Q&A box at the bottom of the screen. So you can put your questions there and we'll queue them up for the end of the event. So as I mentioned, today is a special edition of ArtSpeaks where we will focus exclusively on Burning Man's 2021 virtual temple, the Luminous Lotus Temple. So just a bit about the format. Today's event will start off by meeting the artists. First, the lead artist and architect of the temple structure, and then the lead producer who is creating the whole virtual experience. And then after that, they'll offer us a sneak peek of what the virtual temple experience will look like and how we can all participate. And like I said, at the end, we'll do a Q&A. So get your questions ready, pop them in the box at the bottom. You may wonder, why are we offering this special event? And as you know, I'm sure Black Rock City is not happening in person again this year, which is so disappointing. Of course, the right thing to do, but still such a bummer. So actually just this morning, a colleague and I were saying today is the day that we would be driving off to the playa. And so it feels weird to not have it be in person again this year. It's been almost 20 years of my going there every year, and now it's not happening again in person. And yet we're really a resilient and interesting and weird and fun and strong community. And so we aren't letting this stop us. We're finding lots of ways that we can still all come together virtually and experience elements of what we would experience in Black Rock City. So we're offering a full range of virtual burn experiences this year. They're all free. You can learn more on Kindling, and I'll say a little bit more at the end. So, with a physical temple at Burning Man, you don't need to learn how to be in that space or how to add your contribution. But now, since we'll only be seeing one another and the temple through our screens, the virtual version will benefit from a little explanation and demonstration. So it's also always fun to meet the artists behind the scenes. So for folks who have not yet been to Black Rock City, I want to share just a little bit of an overview of what the temple is. I'm sure many of you are familiar with it, but it's really, Black Rock City is a city, and for us, the temple is the spiritual center of that city. Every city has its place for ritual, and so this for us is a place to process, to grieve, to celebrate, to heal, to love, to cry, to release. And it's important to note that it's not connected to any specific religion. It's a non-denominational spiritual space, very inclusive, very safe space kind of feeling. And the first temple was in 2000, which was also my first year in Black Rock City. And I remember seeing that temple. And at that point, it was placed right along the Esplanade in the inner playa, which is very different from where it has the same place where it always is located now, pretty much in the middle of the city, just above the man. So in that first year in 2000, it was David Best and Jack Hay who brought that temple as a memorial to a friend of theirs who had recently died in a tragic accident. So other folks at Burning Man that year began bringing remembrances of friends that they had lost. And so the tradition began. The next year, David and Jack brought another temple, and now we've had one every year since then. One of the cool things about the temple is when it opens for the community, when the structure is built and it's officially opened, it's a clean slate. But by the end of the event, every inch is covered with photos and inscriptions and just really beautiful mementos and art. And it's like palpable, the energy in that space, the collective emotion that's in the air. And you just see the whole structure is covered. There are volunteers called Temple Guardians who hold that space. The head of the Temple Guardians cherub is here with us today. That's cool. And I was in that role for 6 years. It's a really neat thing to do. We'll have a virtual version of that this year. And some people spend lots of time at the temple every year, and some never even visit it. But the important thing is that it's there when you need it. And this year is no exception. There's only one official ritual for the temple, and that is to burn it. So on the Sunday night of the event, with thousands of participants witnessing, the temple is burned in silence. So because today's episode of ArtSpeaks isn't just about any old art installation, but the temple, I want to take a moment to just kind of set an intention for all of us here. So I have this lotus candle, which I was happy to find. I was like, oh, it's perfect for the Luminous Lotus Temple. And I'm just going to light this lotus candle. And I want to invite you each to take a moment to just center yourself, to ground yourself, feel your feet or your seat, whatever is touching the earth, lengthen your spine, feel your breath moving in your body, and then become aware of the connection between all of us. Even though we're each in our own home or our own place and not physically together, feel the link between all of us here on the call together today, or the connection in your local community, the connection with the whole community of burners around the globe who all love and need and respect the temple. And let's just keep that sense of connection alive in each of us as we move through today's program. So I'm going to keep my little lotus candle burning there. And so at this point, I want to turn it over to my wonderful colleague and co-host, Peter Platzgummer. Peter is one of the art project managers here at Burning Man, and he is in charge of supporting the artists that are building the most large and complex and wild and crazy art installations. And so the temple certainly features into that for him. He's been working super closely with this year's temple artists for the past months, and I'm so glad he can be with us here today to share more about the virtual temple and introduce us to the artists. So, hi, Peter.
Thank you, Katie. Hello, everyone, and I'm really happy to do so. As Katie mentioned, with the 2020 burn in Black Rock City not happening, Burning Man project had to go different ways. The multiverse theme was a perfect way to think of different universes outside of the one we usually create at Black Rock Desert. And within just a few months, several teams of volunteer developers created their own Burning Man experiences in virtual reality. Some built their worlds in already existing VR platforms, such as BRC VR and ArtSpeaks VR. Some created something completely new. Like the man, we discovered the temple because somebody built something that was bigger than its own premise. And especially during the pandemic, where we all accumulated so much grief and so much sorrow, we knew we needed to have something that would allow us to create offerings. So the artists who were selected to bring their vision of a physical temple to the playa that year, Renzo Verbeck and Sylvia Liz, who I saw in the chat, so hi Sylvia, partnered with the theme camp lead and digital artist Jeremy Rausch to create a virtual version of the beautiful structure named Empyrean. The ethereal Empyrean experience was a digital version made of photons and imagination that we could all visit, place offerings within, and gather around together for the ceremonial burn. This year, when we realized you need to wait another year to build Black Rock City, but we'll have a virtual experience again, we ran into a bit of a problem. The digital version of the Empyrean Temple already burned in 2020, and how do you burn something that has already been burned? The solution was pretty simple: build something entirely new. So that's why, in consultation with the temple committee, we selected the Lotus Temple from existing submissions as Burning Man's virtual temple for 2021. As Katie mentioned earlier, we have the two temple artists with us today. First up, I'm really pleased to introduce Roger Carr, the lead artist of the Luminous Lotus Temple, joining us live from Berkeley, California. Roger grew up near Eugene, Oregon, and went to Reed College in math and physics and UC Berkeley for a PhD in physics. He worked mostly at the Stanford Linear Accelerator in X-ray physics, where he invented some magnetic X-ray sources. Like many Burning Man artists, he's an expert in a completely different realm outside of the art. He began attending Burning Man in the mid-90s with art installations in 2002, 2003, 2013, 2016, and 2018. And you may know him best for his bumpity bump art machines. Like Rosam's original band of tubas, where he combined 4 old tubas, 2 baritone horns, and 5 curved lampposts into a rolling tuba band that could be played from a MIDI keyboard mounted on a tricycle. He taught a course for the Stanford Extension in 2003 on alternative arts in the Bay Area, and he has also taught welding at the Crucible in Oakland. After getting married in 2006, Roger moved to Berkeley and opened a 15,000 square foot makerspace in West Berkeley with his wife, Jana. We're thrilled to have him here with us today. Welcome, Roger. Still working.
Hello, everyone. Thanks very much for coming today. I'm Roger Carr, the creator of the Lotus Temple, and we'll have a Q&A, and I'll get to speak to you more in a few minutes. See you then.
Thank you, Roger. We saw you for a short minute, and we'll see you a bit later at the Q&A. And in between, as an introduction to this ArtSpeaks, we asked Roger to talk a bit about the inspiration behind the Lotus Temple, and we're watching the video first.
Burning Man has been described as a cult that lasts for a week, but it's not, of course, because it's not an organized religion. There's no ideology, there's no uniform idea like there is in an organized religion. In the last 100 years or so, organized religion has actually lost adherents, and what is happening now, especially at Burning Man, is people have individual spiritual practices. So I can't tell you how to practice your spirituality individually, but I can suggest where you might do it, and that's in a temple. And what's happened since the year 2000 is that temples have been built at Burning Man, and they're called that, and a culture has grown up which has drawn people away from the normally sort of party atmosphere at Burning Man and toward a spiritual atmosphere. And so that's the whole notion behind a Burning Man temple. You must do something that creates the right atmosphere. The interior of a 7-Eleven wouldn't be quite as good. But if you do that and you call it a temple and you practice this culture, then people can have individual spiritual practices without any sectarian flavor. And so when I thought about this originally, I happened to see a picture of the Lotus Temple in Delhi, which is a Baha'i temple. The Baha'i is a sort of ecumenical cult that allows denominations of all sorts to hold ceremonies in their temple. But they're still doing this within the context of an organized religion. We carry that a one step further by suggesting that the spiritual practices in the temple can be individual. And so I was also faced with the idea of, if I wanted to build a Lotus Temple, that I had to build something that could take the wind on the playa. So you couldn't have the massive structure of the Lotus Temple without having really strong structures. But I happen also then to have been shown a picture of the cultural center in New Caledonia by Renzo Piano, which is wooden basketwork. And the two ideas came together and suggested that if you built a lotus flower out of wooden basketwork, that would make a beautiful temple. And that's what we propose for the 2021 Burning Man virtual temple.
Thank you, Roger. For our audience, maybe one small remark. The pictures of the Lotus Temple, which you saw at the end, were actually the ones from the proposal. As you will see in a bit, things change a bit when artists work together and when you can try out new things because of virtual reality. On a personal side note here, this is really exciting. Like being someone who has built large structures and has always been stuck to this large structure and the physical possibilities, it's really nice to see what you can do when you go a bit further. And that's well, some kind of segue to the virtual part of the temple. Being a Burning Man artist is one thing where you usually need a lot of different skills. However, software development or 3D modeling isn't necessarily part of it. And that is why I am really pleased to introduce our other guest artist today, the producer of the Luminous Lotus Temple experience, Simeone Scaramozzino, coming to us all the way from Sicily, Italy. Simeone curates transformative, immersive experiences by dissolving the boundaries between ancient wisdom and art. And exceptional technology, such as sensor, data, and perception technologies. His goal, to enhance and amplify human experiences, heighten spiritual awareness, and promote physical, mental, and emotional health and well-being. As a management consultant and executive, he has helped large corporations become convergent and synergetic multimedia businesses. He has worked in content strategy, marketing, product development, and advertising across various industries. As an entrepreneur, he has launched innovative startups, and he has produced low to medium range budget films internationally. His current artistic focus is on consciousness of water and microplastics pollution. Simeone has attended Burning Man several times over the last 30 years and was an integral part of last year's virtual experience when he offered to produce the CGI burn of the Imperial Temple. That's one of the reasons why it makes me even happier to see him being in charge of the whole experience this time. We're thrilled to have him here with us today, live from Sicily, Italy. Welcome, Simeone.
Thank you, Peter. Such an amazing introduction. It's so beautiful to be here with all of you and reconnect in the digisphere. I look forward to our Q&A session. Again, thank you all for being here tonight.
Let's check out the video.
Namaste, everyone. My name is Simeone Scaramozzino, and before we begin, let me express how happy I am to be here with all of you today. I create art for connected well-being, multisensorial, consciousness expanding, immersive experiences. Those are journeys that are meant to foster connection within and without, transformation and balance. I derive my inspiration for my work from my life-changing experiences, some of which very menacing and traumatic and threatening for the body, yet so expansive, transformational, and exponential. Such experiences gave me the opportunity to experience oneness and the dynamics that inform the creation of our perception of reality, and started a journey by which I'm constantly looking for new versions of me that and trying to actualize them, so to speak. New versions of me that were available, I feel, in the magic realm of consciousness, but they were not available to me at this or at the previous level of consciousness. This is the reason why I constantly experiment with transformative technologies and new languages, new forms of expression, new forms of storytelling, but also wisdoms and medicine, in the hope that I can spark the fire of the divine fire of transformation and awareness, hoping that people can also embark in their own journey of looking for their own shaman, their own healer within. And this is the spirit behind this year's transformative experiences that I and my team have created around the temple.
Thank you, Simeone. And I think Simeone is coming back right now, and we'll just go straight to the, to me, most exciting part of this episode, the big reveal. Usually these videos would be all we could show you of our guests' art. This time, however, we are able to show you a bit more. And in order to give you a sneak peek of the temple experience, we pre-recorded a visit with Simeone yesterday, and we'll give you some additional insights in how the app will look like. Yesterday was really the very first time someone outside of the team, aka myself, was looking at the temple and at the app. And as I am much better with Excel than with other programs, I totally screwed up the audio file, which is why we'll explain everything live right now. Please stay tuned, because we will have live Q&As after the video. And before we do that, I'm gonna answer the very first Q&A that I've already seen. Are we able to see any of these videos afterwards? Will it get recorded? Yes, it gets recorded. We're doing this right now. And I also think we should be able to post the video of Roger's part extra if people are really interested in that. Awesome, let's check out the video. As you can see, we're starting in the middle of the world. The one part that you will not be able to see right now is how to make an avatar, but maybe Simeone, you can say something quickly about this.
Yeah, you will be prompted as soon as you log into the platform after the classic authentication procedures. You'll be offered an interface whereby you can customize certain aspects of your avatar. I'm not going to reveal your outfit. It's part of the beautiful Easter eggs, hopefully, of this experience, but you'll be able to customize some of the features. And once you're ready, you'll be able to teleport yourself where we, Peter and I, are in this exact moment in the video. We chose this perspective to offer you the most majestic perspective of this beautiful design by Roger.
Wonderful. I see we're both wearing vests. These are not what the audience will wear afterwards, isn't it?
Yeah, because you and I are here seen as moderators, so a part of the organization. And so we're wearing our own effigy and our own special outfits. So will everyone, all the people, the temple guardians and all the volunteers that will be assisting you throughout the experience to make your experience as smooth and simple, but also as welcoming as possible.
Wonderful. Before we walk to the temple, we're showing you one more thing. One of the things, as you can see right now, when you click on someone, is that you can actually connect with him. And as you can see on the bottom right part, you can call that person and talk to him. This works actually very well. You can either essentially send messages or do a call. And I think in this case, Simeone tried to send me a message, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
As you can guess, this was a test, so half the questions were, can you hear me, can you hear you? But I have to say, it really worked well. It worked much better than our WhatsApp calls or all our Zoom calls until then. Are people able to talk to everyone in the app, Simeone?
Yeah, they will. Not in an intrusive way. There always is a mechanism whereby people have to present themselves, and that can be done in the exact way you have shown now in the video. So tapping on somebody's avatar, they will be able to see their names anyway and ask if to continue the conversation in whichever way they would choose. Also, they can ask to be added as a friend in their list for further contacts. And so that is a smoother way to get in touch, a more respectful way to get in touch with the people on the playa.
And then, as far as I know, you already have some friends. Is that correct?
Yeah, when you get on the playa, we made sure that you have some, I don't want to say in bad term, but a default set of friends that are the moderators, the temple guardians. So you will always have somebody to turn to. Also, something that is particularly dear to me, if you have any impairments and you would like to have somebody to walk around with or to tell you what they're seeing, that this feature will make it possible.
I'm just seeing in the chat, someone's asking if there's day and night. Is that the case with this one?
Yes, there is day and night, and this is the time of the playa. So because this is reflective of where the event should have happened, now we are on playa time.
So Pacific time, essentially.
Yeah, Pacific time.
Yeah. If you walk towards the outer petals, and that's actually a new part that wasn't in Roger's original design, you can see these stone formations on the bottom. Can you tell a bit more about these?
Yes, those are very private areas where you can congregate with a limited number of friends to enjoy private conversations, also to create meditation sessions or to just hang with other people. The beauty of it is that, yes, as you can see here, we are having a conversation now as we speak, and you are using your gestures, you know, to highlight your words, and you can see the facial expression. So in other words, it truly is clinging to a full form of presence into an avatar setting, into a digital setting. We also have chosen to put them by the outer petals, again, to allow some privacy.
I just see some of the comments and it says, wow, it looks like you, Peter. Yes, it's actually supposed to. It luckily got a few pounds less and a few hair more. Not going to complain about this, but it is really fascinating to see how well these work. You were saying the motions of the hands and the face, this is essentially based on your camera. So yeah, the camera is running during this experience. Is that correct?
Yeah, you see, I'm seeing you, and as you speak, your avatar is receiving inputs from your words, and it's simulating certain expressions. And also, as you can see, it's syncing your words with the movement of your lips.
I see just another question from Redbird Bean. How many people can be in here at one time? Is there a chance you will be put into different playas or is there a chance you will be put into a different instance of the playa than a friend or the temple guardians? Is everyone?
If I get the answer, the question correctly, those islands are permission based. So you walk by this circle, looks like a shamanic circle mixed with other elements, and you have to click specifically on a position to sit there. So you're not going to be teleported elsewhere unless you're invited to. And even when you are invited to, you will always have to give your permission to be moved from place A to place B. I don't know if that answers the question.
I think that should be it, yes. Maybe one more thing. We saw there's a white symbol right next to, oh, not really, I will re-ask. Yes, please, in that case, Sarah, thanks. In the meantime, I saw some symbols, white symbols on the petals. You want to talk about them quickly?
Yes, those are symbols that allow you to emote further. Like you can use some smileys, but you can also use some expressions like the salute. You have the namaste available for you. You also have the okay. Sometimes it helps fluidify the conversation. And the one on the extreme left, in this case, I'm looking at the screen, it's a specific lotus pose that you can use for your meditations. And as you can see, it will come handy throughout your experience.
Maybe one more thing. The program itself ran pretty smooth with my computer. My computer is a few years old. So so far we were really happy with the tests. I'm really looking forward to see the final version. This is that might be a reminder, this is a beta version.
Yeah. Okay. Even less than a beta was really
it's a version.
It's a version.
we're doing one more thing. We're having a sneak peek inside the actual temple. That's going to happen now. Do you want to talk a bit about the offerings and what happens inside? I know we're not going to see everything today, but at least get a sneak peek.
Yeah. So, with the temple being realistic in the outside, we have tried to replicate the spirit of the temple with respect to being in a position to have a self-reflection or to have a reflection with a small number of people. And so we made the interior, as you can see here, very metaphorical, not hyper-realistic. So what you can see there is energy at work. So in other words, what you're seeing now is the chakra system that is represented as a manifestation of color and light, and is meant to induce people to begin a journey of introspection, because that journey will ultimately lead to the offering creation. In other words, each and every one of those objects has an entire story that I'm not going to give away right now, perhaps later during the Q&A, but it's a key, it's a portkey, it's a portal that allows you to go into your hemisphere, so within you. And from there, you can analyze the spectrum of the different emotions that are with you in that moment, and you can give those emotions away in the form of offerings to the temple. So the idea is really that of giving more voice to the metaphor behind the lotus. The lotus is a beautiful flower that goes through the process of transforming through the seed, through the mud, and to flourish as one of the most beautiful petals in the world. But in doing so, the flower goes through his own hero's journey, so to speak. So borrowing from this metaphor, I created this mini ritual for each and every one of us to be able to confront our own shadows, look at them, and without resisting to them, embrace them. Give our shadows as an offering is a way for us to re-emerge as luminous being. Hence the name, the Luminous Lotus experience, because this is how we learn about how our energy can also inform our perception of reality.
You have about a minute left. What exactly do you need in order to make an offering?
You just need to enter one of those port keys. And so once you, for instance, go towards the one you have in front of you, you will hear a sound. So we have curated very much our sound interface. Sound has become very important in the way oral interfaces are more and more important in the way we communicate with people and support our storytelling. And so once you click on a button, that button will teleport you in another place, this hemisphere, where you will be given the opportunity to create your offerings. How do you create your offerings? By simply uploading your picture, your PDF, or your video, or your audio that is expressive of how you feel in that specific moment.
Awesome.
As you can see, there are many ways that we allow you to open up to what your real feelings in the moment are.
Thank you, Simeone. I really have to say, yesterday was the very first time I saw it. It was exciting to be inside and to walk through. It felt a bit like being at Build Week, walking through a half-finished structure. Not everyone wants to show you everything, but at least you're able to see the first little glimpses. It was really exciting. We are at the end of our show and tell, but we're going straight into the Q&A. And at this point, I'll hand this over to Katie.
Wow, that was really fun. Cool. Thank you all so much. That was a really, really neat journey through a little bit of what we'll get to experience ourselves in before too long here. So So yeah, we've got both Roger and Simeone here, and we have a few questions lined up for both of them. I've got one I'm going to start with actually, because I'm personally curious. You know, I'm really interested in the symbol of the lotus. I'm wearing my lotus kimono today, and I really, as you explained, Simeone, I'm interested in that journey. But Roger, I have the question for you. Like, how do you see that symbolism of the lotus? That's part of Hinduism and Buddhism and Baha'i, even in Delhi, as you said. This. How do you see that concept relating to the temple at Burning Man?
Well, the temples at Burning Man have mostly been inspired, especially in the case of David Best, by Asian temples. So when I started thinking about a temple, quite by accident, I happened to see this picture of the Lotus Temple, and it just clicked. It said, "This is the way we build temples at Burning Man."
Well, that's true. I will say that when the grant committee saw your thing right away, I was like, oh, I can picture this being the temple of Burning Man. It was like, yeah, that looks like the aesthetic that has emerged in the years that we've been doing that. That's cool. I'm also curious, Roger, you started going to Burning Man before there was a temple at Burning Man. What did you think of it the first year or first couple years? What kind of connection did you have to it? And was there noticeable? It wasn't there. It was there.
In those days, we mostly had dust. Before people were inhibited from driving around all the time, the place was just nothing but dust. So about the same time that we stopped driving around, we started having the temple. It was a great idea. I met David Best in 2003 when I was teaching this course at Stanford. And I think he led the way. He who made he helped to create this tradition that the temple would be a sacred space. And it follows from that.
Wonderful. Thank you. Let's see, I'm going to go through what other questions we've had coming in. Simeone, a question for you from the audience. This was based on the intro video you did yourself, not the sneak peek. The question is, how do you evolve your consciousness that's based on life experience? What are your own spiritual practices? That's a big question, I know.
It's a tough no, because you can take it from different perspectives. And so I was trying to also see if there's a way to connect it immediately to what is designed in the temple. So you evolve your consciousness by beginning to see the different inspirations that come at you from things that you were blind to previously. So that is the reason why I said that for me was a journey of self-discovery, because I was allowing myself to entertain new relationships with versions of me that were somewhere unavailable for me and to me, because my thoughts weren't allowing me to. Once your resistance is over, you can begin to see things. It doesn't mean that your illumination, your path is well designed in a few days or in a few hours. It takes the time that it takes, and that conceptualization of the existence of a flow is in itself a path to illumination and evolution, so to speak, or transcendence. And so that is what I'm trying to show in the temple. So the temple hall is really the representation of the order of things. So the order of things you were born into, energy transforming itself into colors, shapes, sounds, by the magic touch of light. But then there are things that are not visible to you, although they inform your perception of reality, such as, the sphere and the cube are the most important geometrical shapes we have. But in the carbon world, right, we as beings made of carbon, we tend to forget about that. But I also put the idea in the order of things that there are silica-based beings that are shape-shifting, like the crystals, and that by a process of truncating, they do shape-shift to create reality for us. So I accommodated all this in a grand design that is the Metatron, and also I connected the design to the chakra symbols. And so each and every portkey is really a chakra symbol that is an opportunity for you to go into that specific realm of energy and confront all the emotions that stem from it.
So interesting. I love what you said at the beginning about how there are kind of these versions of yourself that you haven't quite grown into yet. Or I don't know, you phrased it in a more eloquent way, but I like thinking that, you know, and I can look back in my own life and where I was 20 years ago and where I am now and not knowing where I will be. But there are these kind of layers that it's both a growing towards and a peeling back, you know, as time goes on. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Another question about, we were talking about the chakras. So are there 7 of those experiential things, and they're the kind of the traditional chakra colors, and the, you know, you'll get to a red one that's kind of your root chakra and you'll experience all that sort of thing. Is that how, am I understanding right?
Your journey of self knowledge and introspection starts with the root chakra. The root chakra has a specific color, but also a specific vibration of sound and light, and also is presented to you with, as you can see there, the obsidian. So the obsidian and the C note and that color together are grounding per se. And when you confront yourself with that energy, this is where you begin to understand that there is a realm of energy around you and within you with which you can play to access your below. So people, by confronting themselves with what comes with the alignment or the non-alignment of the chakra, will be able to access an energetic and emotional realm, and from there, they will be able to start the journey of illumination or consciousness.
And so for some people, it will likely be random. They'll just pick the one like, oh, green, great, I'm going to go into that one. But some people may think like, oh, my particular offering is really, you know, an emotional one. So I'm going to go for the orange one, and I'm going to, you know, want to place it in that. Is that right?
It's very right, to the extent I gave every portal a personality. So each and every of those portals are supposed to attract you, and to also tell you about who they are and what they do for you, and how they can help you in the process of your transformation.
That's cool. Thank you. This leads to another question that someone has posted here. This sort of relates, I'm thinking about how people place their actual offerings in the real temple. And this question is, I think for both of you, Roger and Simeone, while designing this, did you release the limitations of human construction, or was there a consideration of creating in such a way that it might be able to be built in, quote, real, unquote, life?
Roger,
Well,
do you?
Okay. I've built many art installations at Burning Man, and Burning Man wants you to create an art installation that's interactive. So interactivity is really what is wanted. And this temple is sort of the maximum thing I've ever done to make things interactive. You, if you're creating a piece of art, what you want to do is engage people. If it's not like you're in an art museum where you walk past a painting for 30 seconds. The value of this to me is how long a person and how deeply a person is engaged with the art itself. And the icing on the cake would be an emotional engagement. That's the hardest of all things to do in interactive art, is actually not just climbing a set of stairs or something, but actually involving a person emotionally. So it should be no different to use Simeone's simulation, or to visit a temple like this on the playa.
Thank you, Roger. It's very beautiful, and it's a perfect segue for what I'd like to add to what you said. The idea of the emotions came when, with Roger, we were analyzing what kind of emotions are allowed and what kind of emotions are not allowed. And the conclusion was simple. all sorts of emotions are allowed. But in going a bit further on how to create the interactivity around it, I just realized that sometimes we are not on top of our emotions. Like, what am I feeling in this moment? And so by entering a specific chakra, you will find yourself in a chamber, in a surreal chamber, where you will literally see the different emotions that are possible to experience because of certain balances, and choose, as you were near an emotional altar, to give that emotion away to the temple. In so doing, not resisting, but embracing what comes from that emotion. And to make sure that you find that process of alignment in the temple, you will be immersed into soundscapes that are relevant to the emotion and to the alignment of your chakra. So you will have binaurals and white sound, but also the way we created the sounds, it's purely organic. For instance, to simulate the noise that is relevant to rage, we use the piano with some metallic parts on the chords. So we truly we tried our best to look into our emotions and to see how this temple can become a tool for you to recenter, to balance, and to connect with the hidden parts of you.
Oh, that's so cool. I love knowing that detail about the sound. I was kind of thinking, at least from what I know about the chakras, each one has a sound, it's Ram, Lam, Vam, like that. So I was sort of thinking it might be like that, but I love knowing that you kind of broke out of that mold and got creative with what those sounds might be like.
Yeah.
Someone's actually asking. Oh, go ahead.
No, you actually have those sounds inscripted in the chakra soundscape.
Okay.
So, for instance, the root chakra is a C, and you have all the tones and overtones of C in it in the experience.
Oh, that's cool. Somebody's asking if there are solfeggio frequencies incorporated into the sound.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
I have
indeed.
to say, I don't know what that means myself exactly. Would you explain that for us?
Yes. The solfeggio experience soundscapes we created in a way that they generate 3D sounds that are aligning given your emotional state. So again, if you have an imbalance in the root chakra, normally if you go to a sound healing session, a lot of C notes would be casted onto you by, for instance, by using the crystal balls, right? Or other instruments that are relevant to that area of your body, because not all the instruments are grounding, for instance. A didgeridoo or a drum that very deep, that is what you need when you want to go for grounding, healing, meditation or healing sessions.
That's neat. Thank you for sharing more about that element. And this ties in well with a question we have coming from John Valentino. Does a visitor need to understand Hindu and Buddhist teachings to appreciate the temple? Like that, like I didn't know what the solfeggio frequencies were, or the Vam, the sounds of each chakra, like many people won't be familiar with those. So John goes on to ask, what is the basic level of knowledge that a person needs to appreciate the temple?
From my perspective, Burning Man is not one experience, it's 60,000 different experiences. So you may wish to involve some of the sectarian practices or not. But the main idea of mine is that it's your practice. It's an individual practice. It's free from sectarian, and it should be meaningful if you don't know anything.
Yeah. Again, to segue on what you brilliantly have synthesized, Roger, anyone getting into the temple will be attracted to what you've seen as objects that carry a specific vibrations, and they have a beautiful sound. They sound beautifully, they look beautiful. And when you go into the hemisphere, more sound, more beauty, more light, will be welcoming you, and you will be able to meditate. And once you walk away from it, whether or not everything that we try to convey as a message, as a spiritual message, was received or not, our wish is that you walk away with more centering, with more balancing, uh, and most importantly, with the idea that you want to stick with the temple and stay in it, because those solfeggio sounds and frequencies and the sounds are keeping you in a place where you feel the warmth and the embrace of a beautiful environment.
Those are good explanations, both of you. Thank you. It's kind of like how you talked earlier, Simeone, about these sort of versions of yourself. Like you can absorb a place or a space or an experience wherever you happen to be then, and things kind of plant themselves in you. And then maybe later some part of it's accessible or not, or, you know, it doesn't really matter. But many things at Burning Man, you wander into something and you have no idea what's happening there or how it came to be that way. And you can still get a lot of enjoyment and appreciation out of it. Yeah, that was a good question, John. Thank you. Let's see. Someone's asking if someone does have a strong emotional reaction, a sort of breakdown of sorts, how do they get to the place of balance that Simeone says is the way to complete the experience?
So there are a couple of things that are connected and built in to the experience. And one of the main components is the presence of people that can support you in many different ways. So all the group led by Cherub and other volunteers will always be there for you to talk. You can really speak one-on-one or one-to-many. You can chat, and you can also occupy one of those areas if you wanted to have very private chats, or you can just walk around the temple, just as much as Peter and I have done yesterday, and have a private conversation. Nonetheless, you are always in a position to be able to reach out to Cherub or to other moderators. So there's a two-way conversation going on at all times, or it's possible in terms of features available.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you for explaining that support level. I do want to circle back to the question that came up while we were doing the live walkthrough of the sneak peek that a woman named Sarah had asked, that in other virtual experiences, like I saw this sometimes at the virtual burn last year, there are kind of copies of worlds happening at the same time. So there might be copy A over here and copy B over here, and I might go into A and look for my friend, but my friend is in B. Is that going to be the case with this, or will everyone all be in the same milieu kind of?
Yeah, we will all be in the same digital space. Mm-hmm. It's the self-containing multiverse, meaning because there are different dimensions within, but you're always in the same space. And so you will be able to teleport from place A to place B in the same digital space. So you might be in the south of the temple, and you could ask me to teleport to the north. Definitely, that is possible, or I can just walk to you, but there will be no teleportation across different multiverses.
Right, I got it. So it's sort of like the reality that we're used to.
Yeah, there's no reality hopping yet.
Okay. Cool. A couple of more technical questions. For an offering, someone's asking if we should have a photo ready to do. Like, how do we actually, and sometimes there have been other ways you could submit a sound or what. Can you tell us more about the offering itself?
Yeah. It's a very good question, because yes, we are asking people to be intentional, and so we would really like for people to prepare their PDFs with a photo album, or their single picture with their own little emojis or comments on it, or they can record a video, or they can record an audio. So the reason why we structured it this way is because we really want people to think, and they can always go back, they say they get to the offering and say, oh, I have no idea yet. They can always go back and make a very intentional offering. But I feel that for the way it is designed, everyone will, even attaching a single picture, they will want to make their offering that is reflective of how they feel in that specific moment.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you. And will we be able to see other people's offerings? That's one of the cool parts about the temple in Black Rock City is, feeling like you're in all of it.
Yeah, you will be able to, of course, in a virtual, hyper interactive way. So it will not be shown to you unless you perform certain simple actions. So you will be clicking on a lotus symbol, and that will refresh all the different offerings made, and you will be able to click on one of them and see its content. There's something I want to tell you that is very dear to me because it's part of the bigger concept of what I've created here. Every time you make a change for yourself, you make a change for global consciousness. So this concept I have encapsulated in what I'm about to express. Every time you make an offering, that offering carries the vibration of the color of the emotion that you made it in. And that transforms itself into a pixel that goes into a live mandala, into a big mandala that you will find on the ground of the temple hall. And this mandala will grow pixel after pixel after pixel based on the offerings that people make.
Oh, that's really lovely. That's a great example of something that you can do in the virtual world that you can't do in the physical realm. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Neat. Thank you.
It defined the boundaries. So going back to the interactivity, yeah, this is what this medium is allowing us to do, to offer more ways for people to express and to see the product of their expression.
That's
cool.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's neat. Okay, so we're just about at time, and I have a few closing bits I want to share at the end too. There are two quick other things I want to touch on. Somebody's asking if there are any plans to also build this temple in the physical realm, or if the idea is we're going to do the virtual one, we're going to build the virtual one, we're going to burn the virtual one, and that's the kind of glorious finale of the Luminous Lotus. Am I understanding that part right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's just completely a virtual experience. Copy.
Talk to us later.
We can't reveal it now.
Okay, because yeah, you were both sort of quiet there. I was like, because someone in the audience here is asking, really, this is more of a question for me and my team, that if they recall correctly, the plan when we selected the Empyrean temple that applied in 2019, and they were going to be the 2020 temple, and they were the virtual temple last year. The question was, what happened to Empyrean and where is that going? And I am happy to share that they will be building the physical temple in Black Rock City in 2022. So they are modifying their design in such a way that it's not exactly what had burned virtually last year, but that will be the physical temple in 2022. But that still seems like a long time away, more than a year away. So just some last things about this particular temple. Technical requirements. Can you just do all of this on your laptop? Can you do it on a phone? Do you need a headset? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. The idea is that you do it on your desktop or your laptop, because there are so many interactive features that require certain way that the operative systems are designed for the laptop and the desktop. And yes, preferably, because it's a very immersive experience, you should wear a headset that will deliver the best spatialized sound, because wherever you will move in the experience, you will hear a different sound, because the sound is has a protocol and has a parameters that makes it move based on your position.
Mm-hmm. So like a headphone, you don't need like one of those VR things.
Oh, sorry, no. You will not need this for this specific experience. Right. Remember, there's also the burn and that, but the headsets, it's preferable.
Okay. Thank you. Well, we're just past time here, so I'm afraid we're going to have to wrap up, but I do want to share just a few logistics for everyone. So just so you all know, the temple will officially open on the 29th of August. That's not this Sunday, but the following Sunday after that. You'll be able to download the app next week, and you can get started by making your avatar ahead of time. So we'll put a link to the temple page here in the chat, but it's luminouslotustemple.com. You can also access it through Kindling. And you will be able to see the virtual temple in all of the rest of the virtual burn, but you have to go in through this app or through the luminouslotustemple.com in order to create an offering, in order to have your offering burned in the temple. So that's really the way that you want to get in to access everything we've talked about today. The burn will take place on Sunday, September 5th. That's the same night the temple traditionally burns in Black Rock City. It's the night before Labor Day here in the US. And that will happen at 8 p.m. Pacific time. And the whole experience is free. It's open to anyone who's interested. Please feel free to share with your family, your friends, your community. It's luminouslotustemple.com. And I do want to wrap up with a big thank you to today's artists, to Roger for sharing his beautiful temple design with us. I'm glad that that vision you had is becoming a reality in a virtual way. Simeone, thank you for producing this amazing, incredible, immersive journey that I'm excited to experience for myself coming up soon. Just huge kudos to both of you, and thanks so much for sharing this sneak peek today. We're really in for a treat, and it's really such a gift to all of us, so thank you. And to all of you, thank you to all the participants today for attending, for supporting the artists, for your interest in the 2021 virtual burn. You know that Burning Man is all about participation, right? We love to say there are no spectators. So remember that you too can get involved. Now you know a little bit more about how you get involved with the virtual temple, but I also want to invite you to join any part of the whole virtual burn. So from August 22nd through September 7th, there'll be all kinds of cool experiences to dive into, 6 different worlds. They're all free. We'll put the link in the chat. You can also find that through Kindling. You do need to RSVP so that you can get the info sent to you. And like Burning Man, where everyone is welcome to bring art, everyone's welcome to contribute to any of these, the whole virtual burn experience. So it's not too late if you have an art installation or a workshop or an event or a performance, or you're part of a theme camp, whatever else you can dream up, you're welcome to share it with the rest of the world. You can learn more about that on Kindling, and we'll put a link in the chat also for how you can still contribute to that. And last of all, the work that our team does year-round to support these artists is part of the larger mission of the Burning Man Project, which is a nonprofit. So if you feel moved to support us, we would truly appreciate any help you have. You can do that at donate.burningman.org. And lastly, today's program may have you wondering what's next for ArtSpeaks. Many of you know we wrapped up season 1 in the spring, and I went on maternity leave. So I had this amazing, happy, healthy little boy named Max, our newest baby burner. And I just started back at work this week. In fact, a couple of days ago was my first day back. So we're looking forward to taking some time to develop the programming and the content for season 2 of ArtSpeaks, which we will launch this fall. So stay tuned for details about that. And in closing, I just want to say again, many thanks for joining us today. I hope you have a better understanding of how you can be part of this year's temple. And I'll look forward to seeing some of your avatars or offerings in the temple and being with you at the Temple Burn experience. So until then, thank you so much. Goodbye, everybody. Much love.